This is Stronger Than My Father with Marcus Menace.
Welcome to another episode of Stronger Than My Father podcast. I am your host, Marcus Menace Sr. Stronger Than My Father podcast is designed to bring more of an awareness to fatherhood, and the goal is one day to make fatherhood cool. Hey, you guys, I can't do this work by myself. It takes a great team. So I have to thank my producer, Jim McCarthy, and Jim McCarthy voiceovers at jmvos.com. So if you're in need of designing your own podcast, or if you're looking for someone to do some great voiceover work, please reach out to my friend Jim McCarthy. Also, I have to thank my beautiful son, my oldest son, Mark Menace Jr., for helping his dad put all this stuff together, my podcast, little studio together. So it's good to do work with my son. And last but not least, one of our sponsors is Onyx Golf Apparel. So if you are a golfer and you're needing some great golf clothes to wear while you're having fun on the golf, having fun playing golf, reach out to my friend Tony Nunn at onyxgolfapparel.com. So let's get to work. My guest today is a good friend I've been knowing for a while, great barber. Just want to talk about fatherhood, and he is a pastor. So I want to welcome to the show Pastor Derrick Redmond. Welcome to the show.
Hey, good. It's a pleasure to be here, and it definitely was an honor for you to ask for me to come. So I'm here.
That's cool. And you gonna give me the preacher voice, or the regular voice?
No, hey man, I hear it like this, man. I tell my wife all the time, I'm better at being myself than anybody, than anything else. So I ain't get no preacher voice.
You don't have the preacher voice.
Just my voice. That's all I got. That's all I got, man.
Let's dive into fatherhood. Just right for one air, I didn't know that you didn't grow up without your biological father in the home.
Right.
How did that affect you and shape you to who you are as a man today by not having that father figure in the home?
Okay, well, let me give you a little background.
Okay,
I'm from a little small town called Lexington, Mississippi. Actually, the place where I took my start, grew up, was called Ebenezer, Mississippi, which is like 2 miles apart from Lexington. Lexington is the city part. This is kind of like the country, pretty much. And so I grew up with my father in the house until I was 8 years old when my parents divorced. And she left him because my father was a severe alcoholic, and he never just did anything every day but drank. My mother was basically the breadwinner. She worked, and he just drank and ran the street every day. So that's what he did. And so it did become very abusive in the household, when he would get drunk or what have you and turn violent. And she, as a good mother would do, protected us from that by leave. She didn't want to, leave her home. She had the house built. They had the house built together, and it's a brand new house we was living in it with me and two of my other sisters. And but after the abuse started, what have you, she moved out and moved in with our grandmother, her mother, and so that's when the split came. So from that point, it was a very scary time for me because it took me out of the element of what I was used to, and so not knowing how life is going to be, how life is going to pan out. And so from that time, even to this day, I feel myself having to try and figure it out on my own, and fortunately for now, though, I have God to reach out to and to and pretty much give me all of the tools and the insight that I need, and then other men. But at the time, I just felt like, hey, I got in this mode where I feel like, if it's gonna get done, I got to protect myself. I got to, pretty much go out here and get it for myself. And I got to be able to, be productive in life and become the man I need to be. I got to get this information and this know-how myself. So I kind of got aggressive and head forward and, very strong-willed in that after that because, he wasn't there.
Yeah, let me ask you this. Do a man ever get over not having his father in his life?
No.
Never?
Mm-mm. Even though me and my father has a relationship right now, and he's been delivered, he's been clean from alcoholism for the last 21 years. And we start building from that place up until now. It's pretty good, but all of what he didn't have the tools to give me still affects me. I feel not anger toward him, just anger in general that I'm a recipient of such a, being deprived of something that I know would have made me better or made life better for me. So I just feel, I feel a little irritated. But now that's not bitterness toward him.
Yeah.
Because forgiveness is really, it got to be real. You can't just say I forgive you and then you still feeling some feelings. Now I just feel feelings and just like personal stuff. Like, man, if I had a father doing it, especially when I see other guys with fathers putting them in a position to win.
Yeah.
And I didn't have that. It just kind of makes me feel some kind of way. Like, man, if I'd had that, man, I really, with all the things I got now, man, I'd really be on top. That's just feelings that I get, thoughts that come to my head. So that to me is not getting over, or not being able to get over what I was, cheated of or deprived of. I didn't have. I just ain't gonna never stop feeling that feeling. Now I manage it.
Yeah, yeah.
But they still come.
Wow.
So it happens.
Do you think that's one of the reasons why fathers abandon their kids? Like, they didn't grow up with a father, they don't really know what to do, so they've gone through trauma, so they mad and they're not there for their kids. Do you think that's one of the reasons why we have this big gap with fathers not being in the home?
Well, for my father particularly, he had his father. His father, my grandfather, raised all of his children.
Okay.
He was married to his wife for, I think, over 50 years. They died together,
Wow.
And had a really good example on both sides. My mother's parents were together their whole lives, and my grandfather was there, raised all his sons. He had 5 sons, 5 daughters, and it was just, but I don't know what happened, and I think, like I say, the alcoholism had a lot to do with that. And then my daddy did not have the tools. He was young when he got married. He was 19. He married my mother.
Yes,
he didn't have the tools, or he didn't have enough know-how or understanding about what it meant to be a man or a father to even carry that over. I'm gonna just say this.
Go ahead.
When we became back, we didn't ever break communication or break ties. We had a somewhat of a best relationship we could have with our father as an alcoholic up until the time he got clean. But I'm saying when it would start flourishing and became a good relationship where we was able to grow is 21 years ago. And it seemed like I became his father.
That's weird. Because
a lot of things that's given to the relationship, I had to give to him. Because he just don't know. All he knows is what he knows. And so I've been privileged and blessed to get a lot of wisdom about relationships and fatherhood through the course of time in my life. That, this is what the Lord told me. He said, with your dad, he's old school. He's very, what's the word I'm looking for? Old fashioned.
Old fashioned. Yeah.
Just country, he said he don't know how to express love. And he probably don't have any from his father to give, because my grandfather was just hard-nosed farmer. He just he didn't go around kissing his sons or nothing. He was just basically, you would work every day. That's what they had to do, get in the fields. And so he said, in order for him to give you any kind of love, he got to get full of love. So I had to start the love circle.
Wow.
So I had to start loving on him in order for him to get the love tank filled up in him, for him to give it back to me. Because he didn't know what that was like, or he didn't know what that was.
Well, I didn't really, this is the first time someone ever told me that. Yeah. My father wasn't the best at affection, but we didn't really need that growing up. My dad wasn't a hugger.
Right.
You know how you go to church and hug your neighbor, daddy's gonna do just like this. He's gonna put his hand out. He ain't hugging you. Two fathers need to hug their sons. What do they get out of that?
Well,
because I hug my kids, but it's just a natural thing. Like, hey, son, grab him by the head. For someone who said you didn't grow up with your father, what do you get when what do you get when a father hugs his son?
Acceptance
and validation. You think?
Yeah.
Okay.
That too.
Okay.
But it's saying I'm so comfortable with you as my son. It don't have to be over the top and all mushy or whatever. You don't have to get out of control with the affection. It's a line with everything, man. A balance to everything. So, but it shows him that even though I'm a man and you feel like I'm strong and you look up to me and you set your sights on being even like me or even better, affection is not bad.
Okay.
It conditions them to understand that even these feelings that you have about wanting to feel close to me as your father, a man, there's nothing wrong with that.
Okay.
You know, there's nothing twisted in that. You know, so and when it happens, he shows him how to be close.
Okay.
Without crossing the line, you know what I mean? So they ain't confused on that situation. And so, yeah, he needs to show him some affection, but he don't need to try to treat him like the mother would treat him.
Yeah.
You know, let her do that because it's a whole different dynamic because genders do matter.
Yeah.
You know, and but I think it shows them acceptance. Like, hey, I accept you.
Wow. I mean, when you was talking, I was thinking about that. You know, most, you know, I hug my boys, high five them all the time. Me and MJ does fist bump. Me and MJ do a fist bump all the time. Now MJ's 14 is almost my height now. I don't hug him, but I think he knows that dad loves him. But for you growing up as a child, and you say you still remember those things as a father, was that something that you wanted to change within yourself to say, hey, I'm not going to repeat the same cycle as my father? So what did you do differently than your dad as a father?
I recognized, I don't know how I got this stuff. And I mean, some of the stuff I know how I got, somebody had to show me men that God placed in my life to help me see example of what I should do. Yeah. But with this part, like what you talking about now, it just, like, I don't know, it just felt so bad for me that I ain't have it, that God said, I got to get this guy something so he can be, you know, because he wants it. I wanted to be a man. I wanted to be there for my son. I did that. So as our sons grow, we had to grow with them. So what I would do for him as a young boy, or them, when they was really little, is, you can show them more affection then because they're more needing of it. But as they grow, we gotta put the affection in the appropriate times, like really expressive times. Like, let's say they doing sports or whatever, and it's a very emotional time when they've done something, they've accomplished something in sports or whatever, and then hugging is necessary at that time, right? But every day waking up, no. You know, every day waking up, we can just pound it out and keep it moving. But just very intense moments, very, you know, heartfelt moments and stuff like that. They need to be able to go to their father and feel love and cry together and all of that. But but we got to just know when to do it. You know, and then as a grown man, you know, you can't, man, you just, some stuff you just don't need to do. You know, you need to put it in perspective, you know, and, you know, and just do it, I think, in the times where that calls for it. You know, and that's how you grow with them, you know, never cutting it off. You know. Well,
I think for me is that my Jordan, I'm more affectionate to, like my baby boy. Like, I'll grab Jordan, hug him. But MJ is like, he's my split image. MJ is me all over again at 14. So it's kind of like, God, to get on my nerves, but I love him to death. So when we were setting up all the podcast stuff and I'm trying to teach him and train him, I'm just happy that God blessed me with a son to do that work with. But back to your childhood, hugging your dad now at your age, is it any different if your dad just hugged you and said, son, I love you?
He haven't done that.
He haven't?
He's told me he loved me, but the whole hugging, saying I love you thing is, but I don't, good thing for me, I don't feel like I just really need him to do that. Because I understand him, you know, and I know what I'm dealing with, you know. So knowing that, it just gives me calm just to know that I know what's really in his heart, and he just don't know how to express it this way, because something down inside of him is telling him this is so wrong. Because where he come from, men don't do that kind of stuff. Men hug, they just don't do it, and so I don't want to make him feel uncomfortable or put him in some kind of position to make him feel like it's needed, because all I need is to know that he loves me. The way he know how to love me. Not the way I want him to love me. And you just accept it. You have to accept it as a man. All right, I'm gonna throw you a curveball here, Dan. Affection is big in marriage. You're a pastor. Let's look at marriage. I've been married for 22 years. I asked my mother one day, and she said, your dad's not the big affectionate person, but he take good care of me. He love me. I know he take good care of me, but he's not affectionate. For some reason, I know you're going to look at me funny, that's how I operate. And for 22 years, my wife would say, Mark's not, you know, if it's time for intimacy, totally different. But my every day when I wake up, I don't think about being affectionate.
And because like I said, I was how my dad, how I assume how he operated. He was a provider, not affection. He gonna provide. He gonna make sure you eat. You got clothes. That's how I am now. Look, Toya, you got something to eat. You got clothes. Kids good. Everybody good. Cool. I'm a father. I did my job. Am I wrong for that? Or should I? Now I'm gonna tell you this before you get your point. Is that some people say, "Oh, you need to tell your wife, shoot her a text, tell you love her, and tell her she looks beautiful today." I'm trying to survive and eat, so I ain't thinking about that. I ain't thinking about that all the time. But this is what I felt like I received. Now I ain't saying my father was bad. This is how he rolled every day. But I knew he loved mom. He took good care of mom. I've never seen daddy strike mama, never cuss out mom. But for you and your relationship with your father, how did that help you develop yourself into marriage and relationships and stuff like that?
Well, it was different. I had a desire to fill in the gaps of what I didn't see happen with me. Okay. And without overdoing it, but I was always comfortable with, affection. I don't know. I can explain why. Didn't damage me like that. Yeah. But I would say this, man. I'm gonna throw you a curve real quick.
Jim, is he gonna do a therapy session on me? You say you're waiting on it. Go ahead.
But let me throw you a curve right quick.
All right.
Number one, this is go out to everybody in the world that's in relationships that's married. First of all, especially if you're married. Now, it'd just be hard for me to understand in any kind of way.
Okay.
One, your wife knew exactly who you were when she decided to marry you, right?
I guess.
Well, if you wasn't doing it, if you ain't doing it now, it's probably you wasn't doing it then, right?
I can't remember, man. I've been knowing my wife since '96, so I can't really remember.
You don't just jump in and out of affection. Not you. Yeah. So my thing is that when we accept people for where they're at and who they are, with their strengths and their weaknesses, and that's relative to. There's no point in trying to make a person metamorphosize into something else. I know what my wife ain't, and I know where she. I'm not gonna try to press her to be that. Even if it's something that well, it'd be good if I had that. I had to be mature enough to understand who my wife is as a person. Nobody has it all. Yeah. I'm not gonna give her everything in the world she wants, because that'd be in a perfect world. So, for other people to be talking about stuff about what you should do to somebody that you're not married to, it means that they really are, kind of dipping. Yeah. Because they don't know your relationship. So, first of all, I wouldn't. For me, now just from a mature standpoint. If my wife is not the type of person that's just gonna be saying, all sweet words like honey baby, this, that, and all of that, I already know who she is. And it's not bad. That's who I married. Yeah. I ain't gonna get in marriage 10 years later and try to expect her to change and turn into somebody else. Yeah. Just because I might feel I might see something on TV like, oh, I want my wife to be like that. No, that's not who she is. Yeah. So, it's all about whether or not you're willing to compromise, because people think communication is the number one thing that you need in marriage, but I think not. I think that the first thing, not the communication ain't important or necessary. I think the first thing is having a mentality that's shaped toward we're both willing to no, I ain't gonna say compromise.
Why not? You gotta compromise.
No. No, that ain't the word I'm looking for. Okay. Cooperate.
I got it.
Have a cooperative way about yourself. I'm willing to cooperate with you. If both people doing that, it's gonna work. Okay. Well, cooperative.
Who would you say not having the best relationship with your father? Who taught you these skills? The affection skills, marriage skills. Who? Because if marriages are 50-50, that's what my mother told me. She said marriage is 50-50. You may win, you may lose. And I asked her that before I got married. I said, Mom, will my marriage work? She was like, marriage is like rolling the dice. Sometimes you win, sometimes you lose. And so I'm sitting here at 25 years old, like I don't need to get married if it's like that, because you're thinking it's going to work. Yeah. When you go in, at 25 years old, because I'm assuming this is the motto is my mom and dad. So I guess it's going to work for me. And that was a total opposite answer my mother told me. But for you, and when I look at men out here, and I look at fathers, who gives you the tools to try to help keep your marriage together, work together? We're going to say God. That's fine. I'm never going to negate God. Right. But for me personally, it took God, but it took what I saw from home to help me develop to be the best father I can be, the best husband I can be. But for you, who didn't grow up with a father, who gave you those tools?
Because I was so hungry for not a perfect life, but a structured life of what. Because I did have a picture of it with my grandparents. I saw that,
Okay.
And then that gives you something to put hope in, like, well, it can happen because they did it. But since I was so thirsty for it, when I would be in front of a man that would have those skills, I watched.
Okay.
I paid attention. I listened to what he was saying. And then God put people. He didn't just snap his fingers and it just came in. He put men around me that I didn't really know that's why they were there, to actually just help me with some of my skills as manhood skills,
Yeah.
And knowing what it means to be on track and what it means to be off track. And I had to trust it.
Yeah.
Some of it was like, okay, this is here to show me what not to do. And then the others were like, okay, I can go with it, because I always look at results.
Yeah.
What kind of results are they getting?
Yeah.
What kind of respect and honor, because that's big for men, is respect, honor.
Yeah.
And then their wife being able to boost their ego.
Yeah.
That's major, to be able to, help you, motivate you, pump you up. It ain't lies, but it's just hearing it come out of her mouth. If she feels that way, then you feeling great going out the door. So being able to be seeing respect and honor coming to that man that was placed around me, I can watch what he's doing, and I'm like, okay, this is what I need to do. And then sometimes I just asked, like, hey man, I don't know what to do.
There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with men asking for help.
Right.
And I know sometimes we have this muscular thing that we don't want to ask people for help. And I think that's why a lot of times marriages fail. But let me ask you this. Since you're a preacher, hope you don't kill me on this one. Because it's something I always wondered.
Okay.
Why can't two church people who say they saved can't stay married? And before I answer this, is because I'm Pentecostal. I looked at the statistics one day. I Googled it. And they said 44% of Pentecostal people who believe in the faith of Pentecostal stay married. So now I'm curious. And I said, okay, if two people run in church, they go get prayed for and remarried, but then you file for divorce, why is that? Now, on why I've made it 22 years, because God believes somebody can put up with me. I'm just telling you the truth. But I treat her well. And my wife comes from a single parent home. And I told my mother-in-law, when I had to ask my mother-in-law for her hand in marriage. That's crazy. I never asked her daddy. But I said, I'm going to take care of her.
Okay.
I'm going to take care of her. And my mother-in-law told me 10 years ago, she said, Marcus, not one night I go to sleep worried if my daughter is okay. She said, that's my only child. She said, not one night since she's been married to you, I had to worry about that. That comes from God and Paul Manise Sr.
Okay.
But in your opinion, this is just your honest opinion, why two church people who go to church can't stay married?
Well, because what you said, when you talk about church folk ain't what it gonna take. You gotta be more than just church folk. You gotta be somebody that has taken in a conviction to do what it is that they learning and what's in front of them. And people don't commit to following their faith. They just commit to going to church and getting a lot of information in their head. But very few of them. It's a sermon I'm preaching on right now. It's a series, actually. I'm going around ministering about it. Very few people that go to church have a mentality that they really gonna do everything in their power to obey the word they're getting. So when people don't have a mentality of obedience and submission to God, they can't submit to nobody else.
I agree with that.
Because they full of flesh.
I agree with that.
And so when they flesh, something happens along the way where the flesh is put, in the mix. Ain't no telling what's going to come out, because they have no discipline. And so when you have undisciplined people, all they're waiting for is a blow up, and then that's when you get people divorcing each other, because what's been lurking on down in the inside is that they really don't have a submission to Jesus mentality. They don't.
So my thing is, you agree, it's more than church that helps you stay married. It's got to be more than that.
Oh, more than church, yes.
Yeah. Okay, all right. Now, let me ask you this question. Most people who go to church, is it past trauma issues that they never resolved?
Right.
That we go to church, we get prayed for, you go all these things, So this is, and I'm not making fun of nobody. This is things that I've seen growing up in the church. And I've been in the church since I was 6 months. So I've been in church a long time. So when I see these things, I'm curious. I'm not making fun. I'm not judging. I am curious.
I counsel people that want to get married. I counsel the people that I marry. And I talk to people in life. You know, the first problem is, even with church people, is that when you got two people that have a whole different perspective about what marriage is, and you don't know it, that's gonna be a disaster waiting to happen.
Yep.
Her impression of what marriage is this. His impression of marriage is that, and then they coming together to try to make that work, and then it ain't meeting. Then people will be like, okay, and then they too proud to ask for help.
Okay.
You know, because they want to believe that all the butterflies and the things I was feeling when I got married is just going to save us. Yeah. No, it's not.
Okay.
You know, you got to deal with you. You got to work with whatever is wrong with you, because when you deal with another person, usually 9 times out of 10, it brings out the things that are wrong with you, because you got to deal with somebody other than yourself.
Yeah.
And so when people have the wrong impression of what marriage is and don't know what that means, and then don't settle it and agree on the fact that both of them agree that marriage is this, they can't go together. So the Bible says, you know, if two can't agree, they can't walk together. So one thing they got to agree on is, what is marriage?
Yeah.
What's a covenant together? What is making a commitment that you're going to do something for the rest of your life together? What is that? What does that look like? Does it look like what the world say? Does it look like what being demonstrated around you in church, or does it mean you all have positioned your hearts to obey God? Period.
Well,
and then if you don't feel like you can go there, then that may be telling you you ain't ready to do this. Yeah, you don't need to get married.
Yeah. Well, let me ask you this: does past trauma, do couples need to deal with if they have gone through either fatherless or past trauma? Why is it so important for couples to deal with that before you walk down the aisle? Because if you don't deal with it, in my belief, the stuff gonna pop back up after the lights are cut off. After everybody don't like your pictures on Facebook, it's you and your spouse looking at each other in the face.
People are more motivated and more influenced by world culture than they are about the word again. And so when world culture tells you that everything's okay, you know, that you all right just because you're out of the situation, then they just take all this trauma over into the next relationship until something happens. But yeah, the trauma definitely needs to be dealt with. But people don't want to deal with themselves.
Why not? You the preacher.
Pride. Because you want to believe that you all right. Because see, to deal with yourself brings to the surface all
why you say that, Jill?
The stuff that's wrong with you.
Yeah.
You got to face you now. You got to face that, oh, I am really messed up. And somebody knows it.
Yeah.
But you live in a world. You live in a culture. Look at social media. People always want to show you what's great.
They're going to show you what's great on social media.
They want you to think everything perfect in their life.
Yeah.
I'm on top. I'm winning. I'm going to do this in 2024. I mean, you said that last year in 2022. But it's a game. Yeah. And so when they get in this game and they play this game, all it's doing is lying. It's deception. But when people really get real about themselves and about life, when usually something had to happen tragically for you to just get sober and say, you know what, I'm jacked up. I need help. You know, and sometimes they don't. Yeah. Sometimes people check out of here just like that.
Wow. That was a question I was hoping you would answer, because I've seen it a lot. Not making fun of anybody's relationships. And relationships are hard. Marriage is hard. Like my mom told me, it's hard. It's not easy. My dad and my mom are two different people. They from two different spectrums. Mama, church. Daddy, work.
So you know why they stay together? I said it earlier.
My mom and dad been almost married. They're almost, next month will be 52 years they've been married.
They agree on the right things. Even though they different, and they may be different, have differences about some things, but the main things they need to agree on, they do. We gonna love each other. We gonna raise our kids together. We gonna stay together. We gonna be all that. I know who he is. I know what to expect from him. I know, how he operates. She know how she operates, and they get okay with that. we agree we're gonna be together just like this.
Wow. Another bomb. That was honestly truth. My parents, my mom was able to accept my father for who he is. You know, my father is a hard worker. One of the best things I seen my mom show my dad love was that my father's from the country. And 20 years ago, my dad wanted to move back to the country. And I said, Mama, you know you hate living down there. Why did you move back with? Why did you agree to move to the country with Daddy? She said, your daddy worked so hard to make sure y'all was good. I want to see your father happy. Mm-hmm. And that's what told me about love. That's taught me about manhood. It taught me about a whole lot of things when my mother said that. And now I see them at their age, how they spend more time with each other and love each other. And I'm watching it now as a 47-year-old man, watching my parents and how much fun they have. So my thing now is that what can church people do now to work on themselves? And I ain't saying church people, and I'm not bashing church. It's just I grew up in church, and I've seen a lot of marriages fail in church. I've seen people preach, marriage fail. I've seen people run around the church, your marriage failed. You failed. It didn't work. So
they want to get the inspiration, but they don't want to do the work.
You have to work in marriage. I mean, my wife put up with me, but here's the thing. My wife, one thing my dad told me, he said, every day your wife come home, that house is a house of peace. You make sure your house is a house of peace every day. My father told me that. Not my mama, my daddy. When Toya backs that truck in the driveway and she gets out, I want to make sure that she is safe. Number one. And number two, she could have had a hard day at work. Why she need to come home with more mess at home? Why? That's just my mentality. So when she come home, either dinner's cooked, the boys' homework are done, she can come home and watch her CSI or whatever and relax. That's how it's supposed to be.
Well, can I say this, though?
Go ahead.
All right, so to lay myself bare, because this is how I had to grow. My wife getting a plus. She getting a plus now because I could have just stayed the way I was forever, you know, and she married me like that, and she was just like, hey, I'm going to get the good out I can get and just, you know, whatever else, oh well. Yeah. But God loves her so much, and me, that he actually put me in a position where I still am willing to grow out of things that I was doing. One of them, you touched, it's funny you said it. One of them is that I couldn't say, oh, I'm going to make sure my house is a house of peace when she comes home or when anybody is home, because a lot of times I was bringing the drama because of how I felt. I'm all in my feelings. Yeah. You know, and God had to, now this one didn't, no man told me this. Okay. This straight came, I had to listen though, I had to hear it. It just came to me, he just spoke it in my spirit like this. You know, after just hearing a word, you know, not necessarily a sermon, but just the word, and he brought that word up, and then he was like, he said, two women can't live together now and be at peace. They gonna cat fight. He said, so y'all cat fighting. He said, so when you gonna start acting like a man? Because that's why y'all fighting. You bringing the drama. I had to eat that. Had to take it, and I know why. Yeah. Because I was dysfunctional. Came from dysfunction. You know, and picked up these habits. Picked up some dysfunctional stuff. Had to be willing to face myself. Look at me. It don't mean I'm less than just because I got issues. Yeah. What it means is that God loved me enough to put me in front of me, show me myself how bad it is, and then give me the tools, the aid to help me out of that. So he said, if you listen to me, I'll show you what to do. So I killed drama. No, when I'm finna go into it is what I'm saying. Yeah. I just take a different street, and we agree now. Like, okay, if you want to bring drama, if I want to, we gonna have a catchword that we gonna say. They're gonna stop that. We gonna come back and start. That's cool. After our emotions cool off, we gonna act like adults and deal with this. And so when I say it, and she said, it just bring laughter. We don't need no more drama no more because we agreed on that. You know, this may well work for everybody. Yeah, it might sound corny to somebody, cheesy, whatever, but whatever works. Some got to work in your house. Some practical got to work in your house for you to live together with another human being. Yeah, you gonna have to do something practical. Like you say, your wife is very patient with you. Yeah, she is. That's a practical thing she got to walk in order to stay with Marcus. Well, yeah. Here's the thing. I understand her, and here's the thing. My dad. I don't think my wife knew this. My mother grew up without a father. Okay.
my father he grew up with his father. My dad said there's some things you may experience. So if it happens, you know how to deal with it. And some of them things popped up. And instead of me getting mad and going off, I had to think, okay, Daddy did say this could happen. And that's why I said fatherhood is so important, because it helped me. It helped guide me. I've never been to marriage counseling. I try to talk it out with Toy, like, what's the problem? That's one thing I teach in Sunday school, everything. What's the problem? And I try to figure out the problem. Figure it out and go from there, because for me, I have nothing against you as a preacher and preachers that counsel folks. My dad just told me, you never go to nobody but your business, son. He's just hardcore, man. He was hardcore. He was just like, you don't go to nobody. You deal with it, son. And so that's me, not trying to say anybody else. But I think counseling helps someone who needs help, who wants to fix their marriage. They love each other. They want to fix it. I've already honestly said I couldn't probably be with another woman, because I don't think another woman gonna put up with me. So I don't think she had the patience to put up with me. But Toya knew my vision to help the fatherless, because she grew up fatherless, so she understands the pain, like you and other folks that's gone through this. And that's why I use this platform to talk about things that people ain't gonna talk about. And I'm not bashing people who've gone to church and the divorce. Things happen. Right. God blessed me with the right person. I'm just trying not to mess it up. That's the biggest thing, because I love coming home to a house of peace. When I come in the house, the boys jumping in the garage, Daddy here. You know how much that makes me feel when my kids going there, when Toya parks in the driveway, Mommy's here. That's what you're supposed to have. But I understand everybody didn't have that. Right. But I don't want to use my voice to feel like I'm bashing people. I love seeing people. I had a good friend of mine post, him and his wife celebrated 20 years of marriage. They're 2 years behind us, and I was just happy to see that people are making it this long in marriage. So as we wrap this up, let me ask you two things. What can the church do more to bring more of an awareness to the fatherless crisis that I call the pandemic that no one talks about? What can the church do more to bring an awareness of fatherhood? Well,
I'm not going to talk about the institution right now as far as the organization. I'm going to talk about the people. Yeah. Because the people make the body, right?
I agree with that.
Well, one, and I definitely know about the black community more so than anything, because that's one I'm more familiar with. So I can't really speak on other cultures and stuff like that, because I don't know a lot about their community in terms of what we're talking about. But men that go to church, and men that have, quote unquote, a form of godliness, or have a religion, have a belief system, or that follow Jesus or whatever, they're going to have to stop. One, this is the core. You say problem. They're going to have to stop celebrating whoredom. That's one. Okay? Yeah. And then they're going to have to stop celebrating the idealistic view of pimping. And what am I talking about? So, I worked in barbershops for years. Yeah. Men don't stop men when they start talking about women. Even when they marry, they start talking loosely about women and lustfully about women. They don't stop and say, man, you shouldn't do that. That's wrong. Yeah. That's going to destroy your family structure. Yeah. So it started right there, you know. Yeah. And then you see, since it don't stop in the everyday life of where we are in terms of our interaction as men, it bleeds over into the church. Men start being that way even in leadership, even in the church itself. It tears the family up. Because women these days are not going to tolerate you just sleeping around having women. Yeah. So guess what? Your family get torn. Yeah. Then somehow, some way, this man thinks that just money is all it's going to take in order for his child to be cared for. You know what I'm saying? And so he think he's doing his job. Somebody need to tell him he ain't doing his job. And then I don't believe, now this is just me, honor's a good thing. Yeah. But I don't think you need to constantly need to give a man celebration for doing what he's supposed to do.
Oh, you talking about like church anniversaries and stuff?
Oh, no. I'm talking about me. Just like men are sitting around looking around now because it's so bad. Fouls out here that the ones that are doing something for their children, they looking for somebody to celebrate that. No, you're doing what you're supposed to do.
Yeah, Chris Rock said that. Chris Rock said in one of his comedy specials, he said, "You're supposed to be a father. You want a pat on the back, right? I don't need a pat on the back for being a father. So that's something. I don't care if I don't. I post on Facebook because of the work I do. If I wasn't doing this, I wouldn't care less if you seen my kids and celebrate.
I understand.
I don't post me and my wife because that's personal to me. She knows the true Marcus, and she knows that, hey, whatever I need, Mark has my back. When we get through this podcast, it's family time. We going to Costco. We're going to enjoy some time together as a family.
But do you think that was clear in terms of the mentality of even the men that are in the body? Not just the ones that's, we talking about in church.
Yeah.
The way they even view each other and what they're doing. They'll sit there and talk about how fine some girl is together. Yeah. That has to stop. That kills the family structure.
I don't know a lot about preachers. Only thing I've learned, and you've been around that world longer than me, I've been in church. I go to church, worship God, and I'm gone. So all the other stuff that comes with it, I really don't care for. My mom just told me, come in, worship God, and go home. So that's my mentality. But I think preachers that mess around their wives, preachers that make all mistakes, I think that stuff comes from childhoods. I think it's something that's happened in the past.
I said it.
And it's right.
We've been from the point when I was growing up as a kid up until even to this day. Men that I'm around, males that I'm around, it's kind of like it was a thing that you just kind of like knew. They celebrated looseness. Yeah. Like if you had 4 girls, 5 girls liking you, they made you feel like you a king. You on king status because you got this kind of attention. Whereas what it should be doing is interrupted with the fact that you only can marry one. Yeah. So I don't need to be trying to dip around in all of these 5. You know what I mean? Just because they're giving me attention, think that means something. Some man has to stand up and say, the influence goes both ways. You can negatively influence somebody, or you can influence them as a man and straighten them up. Some man has to stand up and say, hey man, that's not man. You're not right. Yeah. Yeah. They need to feel bad about that.
I agree with that. I think the 2 things that I've seen in church from growing up is, number one, when the father's not there, it destroys the family. I've seen the destruction. Yes. I've seen the destruction in the church. I've seen it with my own eyes. And Farrakhan had a quote I saw on Instagram. He said, when a man falls, learn. He says, don't laugh at him. You learn, because the same temptation that took him down is coming after you.
Yes, I agree with that.
And so when I've seen men fall at church, I don't laugh at them. I said, God, I hope you can help them, because I'm in the business that.
But he can.
Yeah, because
he came for the sinners. Now that's what Jesus came for. He can help them.
Yeah,
but we can't stand in the way of that. We gotta, and then he can't either.
Well, yeah, I mean, you have to do right. And like I said, my pastor, I have the utmost respect for him. He talks about that a lot, because in his stats, you have women coming at you in the nonprofit mentoring. Oh, Ma, you love kids, all that stuff. At the end of the day, for me, and what helps me is I look at my 2 beautiful kids, and I say, if I died tomorrow, I want them to say their daddy did it right.
Exactly.
That's all I care about. You don't have to say nothing at my funeral. Just say my daddy did it right. And because my kids, I want them to keep doing it right. And then that's why the cycle has to continue. So for churches, that's just me. Preachers, I'm not in that lane. But I know you've seen a lot of it. As being a preacher, you've seen a lot of preachers fall. You've seen a lot of preachers mess up. But I always say to myself, did that preacher grow up with a good father? Did that preacher have a good dad? Did that preacher seen good things at home to help him say, hey, I'm not going to fall in these cracks where other people has fallen? That's just me.
Well, the way the church is set up now, sometimes in some churches, is that the preacher is such, he's extolled so highly that he's guarded against accountability.
Okay.
And when nobody's in a position to hold you accountable for your stuff, like holy living. Yeah. Like that, you know what, this is going to regulate my behavior because I got to answer to someone. And I mean, we all got to answer to God. But we talking about just our behavior. Yeah. Man can't put you, in a spiritual place, like heaven or hell. He can't do it. But what we can do is, the Bible says we're supposed to do it. we got to hold somebody accountable, man. You have to be accountable to someone.
Yeah.
But some preachers are not.
Yeah.
They the end, you know.
Well,
God holds me accountable, but no, somebody needs to be, just like David was the king. Mm-hmm. You know, and Nathan was able to come to him and check him.
Yeah.
Like, babe, you're wrong, bro.
Yeah.
That straightened him out. That saved him. So,
but he had still deal with consequences, and that's why I think a lot of people do not talk about. Yeah, is that
he did.
Tony Evans says every decision comes with a consequence. Mm-hmm. So for me as a father, as a husband, I have to think when I'm tempted, and I'm tempted like every other man. Mm-hmm. I see beautiful women all the time. Mm-hmm. I'm tempted to do wrong, but then I keep a picture of my kids on my phone. When when alerts come on, my 2 children pop up, and I ask myself, do I want to hurt them? If I'm a good, loving father, I'm not going to hurt my children.
Right.
So my decisions I make, it's on them and my wife. My wife doesn't deserve to get a phone call to say she don't deserve that. So these are just disciplines that I try to deal with, and I try to help myself. So when I see preachers fall, preachers mess up, and you destroy your family, you're starting a whole nother cycle that your grandkids and kids can be taken on forever. Mm-hmm. And then you deal with the guests I had before. Right. No father.
Right.
Empty promises. Mm-hmm. Because we care about my own self than I care about my kids.
Right.
My dad told me when you have kids, it's not about you anymore.
Nope.
It's about your kids. So every day I wake up, it's about them.
I agree.
Every day. And I don't need no preacher to tell me that.
Right.
My daddy told me that. I tell people all the time, I don't need no preacher hollering at me, telling me that. When I wake up and I look at what's my responsibility as a man. Mm-hmm. And that's what I do.
Well, you know, but some men need somebody to holler at them and tell them, because they don't have a father to do it. No, well, you know.
Yeah, I mean, that's why we have this fatherhood crisis.
Right.
It's a pandemic no one's going to talk about, except Mark. I'm going to fuss about a pandemic.
I'm going to talk about it. I'm going to talk about it.
It's a pandemic. It's a problem.
I'm not the popular preachers amongst preachers, because I tell it real.
Yeah,
and then they can't try to, hold nothing over my head, because I live what I'm talking about. Not because I'm great and perfect. It's just because I was serious about the commitment that I made. Number one, just being saved.
Yeah.
I was serious about that. I ain't going to do it unless I'm willing to do it. I just stayed in the world, did whatever if I was going to do that. But I don't play around with that. So if I say I'm saved and God delivered me, I'm delivered. Then I got called to ministry. I got to do that. I'm serious about that too. Mm-hmm. So, they don't want to hear, no, man, that's wrong. That's all. I tell them too.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to get your votes.
Yeah.
You don't have to give me no opportunity to preach. I'm good with that. I can preach it. I got plenty of them.
Well, I tell myself, I love teaching. I love teaching Sunday school and inspiring and helping people. Mm-hmm. But at the end of the day, I got to live it too, right?
That's right.
I got to live that. And I'm tempted to mess up all the time. I get in my charger.
Who's not?
Who's not? Yeah, you're right. But it's just making great decisions. So I know we got to wrap up.
Okay.
So, but I appreciate your time, your perspective on dealing with the church and fatherhood. And I hope we offend somebody, tell them to come out to me, get on the mic, and you explain to me something different. I tell people all the time, the microphone is right here.
Right.
You want to debate with Marcus Maniz? Come on. Because I take this stuff serious, because I see the kids I mentor. Mm-hmm. I see the kids who want their daddy.
Right.
And it's a pandemic, and a lot of this problem wouldn't be happening in schools and all this other stuff if fathers just if they would just do their job. Mm-hmm. A lot of this stuff won't be going on. So I'm gonna keep fussing. I'm gonna keep fussing. But where can people find you? If they want to get a haircut, where can people find you, man? Well, promote yourself, man.
Okay. I'm on Instagram. I'm a Papa Barber. I do exclusive haircuts in the home. My tag on Instagram is barbercoach _73, and then my email address is pastornttlm@gmail.com. I do take speaking engagement. I do go around the region and minister and preach the gospel of the word when I'm called upon. I got a busy schedule right now, but still, that's good. God is opening doors. But if you want a speaker, someone to come out and talk and influence or do whatever, I can do that. And then also, like I say, I'm an exclusive barber, so barbercoach _73 on Instagram.
Yeah, man. He's not razor edge.
Barber coach.
Barber coach. I knew you had the razor, man. Cause
I still use it.
Gotta have that sharp edge up.
Yeah, that's right.
Well, man, thank you for number one for no one checking up on me. Cause I get busy and I forget to call everybody. But thank you so much.
No problem.
And Jim, you can cue the music. I'm great. I'm gonna be quiet. And I appreciate that because I need brothers to check up on me because I get in my own world and I run.
Right.
But I appreciate you coming on the podcast and giving a perspective on church and fatherhood. And I never knew you'd grow without a father. I would have never known that.
Yeah, well.
But thank you so much.
God has done a good work.
Man, I'm proud of you, man. And thank
you
you so much for the friendship over the years.
All right.
Hey, you guys, thank you again for listening to the episode of Stronger Than My Father podcast. If you like what you hear, please click the subscribe button and help us continue to share the word on fatherhood. Please follow all of our social media platforms at Stronger Than My Father. Thank you much. Thank you. I am so tired, Jim. I'm saying everything. Thank you, Jim, so much for all the work you do to help produce Stronger Than My Father podcast. We will be back again for another episode of Stronger Than My Father. God bless you. Peace.
Peace.